Jeff Laurenti. Governor, you exhorted us this afternoon to pay more attention to our neighborhood, and you've provided distinguished leadership to the state that more than any other faces not only Cuba, but all of Latin America. With the spread of democracy throughout that region, you've had a number of left-wing governments coming to power, some of which have caused a certain ácido stomach acid in Washington, even leading to some efforts to subvert either Venezuela or Honduras at one point or another. And even those that are not left-wing governments elected there are much more sympathetic to Cuba than to the U.S. in that
well, that's always been the case.
Right. And given the importance of this region to our immigration problems and living standards there, how do you see the United States being able to influence politically its partners in Latin America? Is destabilization still on the agenda, or is the Monroe Doctrine dead or in need of being retooled?
Well, first of all, I think the best way to deal with a better relationship with Latin America is electing me President of the United States. Because we have neglected Latin America across the board, in not just this administration, but previous administrations as well. And we need to get back in the game. We've gone through this phase of massive Chinese investment in the region, and it hasn't worked because commodity prices have gone through the floor, and their mercantile, capitalism approach has not yielded the economic benefits that were expected. And so I think we have a good opportunity to re-engage, both diplomatically, certainly economically, and deal with the challenges of the side effects of illegal immigration, the drug war, the issues that plague these countries that we have a common interest in trying to solve. The first place where that would be a good place to start, as I mentioned, is Mexico and Canada. I think it's time for a reevaluation, call it what you want, of enhancing the benefits of this North American trading bloc, which means that we would re-engage, just to go through this whole process, not another treaty, but to see where the benefits are that we could enhance to our mutual economic interests. The second thing I'd say is that the Northern Triangle countries are desperately needing American leadership and friendship. Of El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala, where you have chaos because of the lack of rule of law. And the dangers for our country are going to play out in all sorts of ways. The majority of the immigrants crossing the border right now, the great majority, on a net basis, Mexico's immigration is basically zero. It's flat. But there's been a surge of people leaving these countries that are crime-ridden and quite dangerous. And we need to do what we did about 15 years ago when we started El Proyecto Gran Colombiano. When a strong leader emerges that wants to cooperate and partner with the United States, we should take them up on the effort, because a stable Central America will help us deal with these flows of immigrants that are going to be a big drain on our economy. And the challenges of the drug trade are playing out in terms of massive addiction increases that are taking place. You may not sense it here in New York. I don't know if you do or don't, but I can tell you when you campaign in places that you never would have expected heroin overdoses to be growing at double digit, like New Hampshire, this is because there is high-grade heroin, low-cost heroin, easily crossing our border. And so we need to engage, we have to control our border, of course, but we need to engage in these countries in a much more comprehensive way than we have been doing.
And would a Bush administration be doing anything different with regard to the confrontation that seems to be building in Venezuela right now?
Yeah, we should be on the side of people that want freedom in Venezuela, and Cuba for that matter.
And what would you do?
Well, I wouldn't be silent. The notion that somehow, look, Chavez won his first election probably in a free election, and since then he has taken away all aspects of what a democracy looks like. He's destroyed civil society. He's taken away the institutions that are protected. He's stacked the decks with the Supreme Court. He has used an election to hijack a democracy. And I think we have, it's not that we have a duty to do this, but I think we have a responsibility. It's in our security interest to promote those that are the popular will of Venezuela. A great majority of Venezuelans oppose this regime. And the United States seems to be passive in its relationship with Venezuela. God forbid if we are, accused of being an interventionist. There is a difference between interventionism and complete passivity. There's always a third way. In this administration, if you're not like the nuanced, supporting the nuanced view that somehow you're a warmonger or an occupier or an interventionist, and we're going back to the language of the 60s and 70s about our foreign policy, this is just not true. Engagement is what we need, and I think we could do that in a much more effective way. We now have a chance to show support for Argentina. It's a great opportunity for us to get back in the game with Macri, who is proposing some extraordinarily bold reforms. And I think we should show support across the board for people that are supporting free market economics and supporting freedom in their country. There's ways that we can provide support that right now it just appears to me that we're quite passive.